Hey everybody. Um, sorry for this rough, and it's been a long time since I went live, but I thought I should do it and record this for prosperity and say I thoroughly enjoyed Stranger Things Part 5. I enjoyed it. I really want to see it on the big screen if possible. I think we could put this on the big screen and um, it would be really enjoyable. The only thing I thought about television wise that I want to see on the big screen was what was it? Possibly the Twilight Zone by Jordan Peele, because how he had that shot, and then I'd also say the New Edition thing, which was just an entertaining sort of musical thing. So I would love to hear the music on a big film screen. That's what I seem to be liking more to having something like sort of like hip hop music or that sort of thing in the music, because I don't get to hear that much. Anyway, so this one was an action pack, very story driven, and when you get to the end, the climax is just so big and heavy and all over the place, and it's real graphic and whatnot. They prepare you for that. So this is everything that you want from your Stranger Things cast and story, right? But one of the things that I struggle with in this series was, I'm just going to scan to the character, and so you can get an understanding, because most of the characters that they've introduced have been helpful for the show. They've been very helpful for the show. But I want to say it to you like this. This is what kind of happens on most television shows. And I guess you're gonna have to see me small. I'm sorry, guys. The core of any show is always gonna be your cast, right? And the lead cast that we first met. And our lead cast is gonna be Mike, Will, Lucas, and Dustin. And then they run into 11, who's a key part of the story, and then they meet Max. Those are the key players, almost like the original X-Men, and then you add in Lorna Dane into the story, right? I mean, you have other characters like Steve. You have the siblings of the you got Nancy. All of these characters, you got Jonathan. All these characters, and even the younger sister that's in there, or does Erica. They have all these characters that are in here, and they bring some. They've all brought something to the plot outside of the adults, which is Jim. See, I don't want to mix up there. I want to say the name instead of the actor, so let's say it's going to be Jim and Joyce, right? Besides, besides Mike's parents, Karen, right? So these are your core characters, right? So in most shows, as you see, these kind of cable shows, they kind of drift in doing kind of the X-Men plot where everyone goes off into doing portions of the story and run all around, that sort of thing, instead of keeping the group like a basketball team. Then you see the writers kind of zero in on these outside characters that they like. And somehow these characters become, out of this core group, more of the core than the people that we want to see. It's a story about these characters, and they also kind of hide the plot by not using some of these characters from time to time. But I guess as the writers, I feel like the writers kind of get tired of the character. So they're like, what do we do with this one? And what do we do with this one? But then we say, hey, we have Rockin' Robin. Let's start with her. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. But then you see, because she's talkative, more and more dialogue is shoveled into Rockin' Robin's character and her plight and her story and her redirecting characters, pushing characters into their next stage, and like she almost becomes like the Obi-Wan of this story, because she connects with Mike in some way. And that's these scenes with her and Mike were the only scenes I like, because they had a camaraderie more so than her and Steve. And I think it's something that can build on it if they don't turn her into like the character that has no flaws. And that's the thing that's going on in the story. The real characters, the core, they can make mistakes. Dustin can just forget about the greater good and get into it with these bullies, taking him out the story and causing everything that he knows to be not on the table, right? So he does things. Mike and Lucas, they struggle with a mistake they have trying to free kids. Steve and his plans. Every one of these other characters outside of Nancy can make mistakes, right? And when you introduce another character where Nancy is, the romantic struggle is where her thing is. Is she going to pick Steve or is she going to pick, Jonathan, right? So most of the characters can make mistakes. Even Max has made a mistake. She has three choices, and we think she chose the one to find escape, and no, she chose to hide. So there's so many things that are done well in this series, and the mom trying to keep Mike from going anywhere. Jim trying to keep 11 from going there. He's training her, and his plans go awry. And so all of these characters, Mike going off, them failing, and then even in, them not telling, was it Joyce what's going on? She gets to apology, she owns up to everything. So the hard part is a lot of times when we think of, I don't want to say Mary Sue, but sometimes the writers kind of say, let's zero in on this character. Let's take this character, and this is going to be, we're not going to write a non-well adjusted version of this character. We're going to do the first character that's going to be well adjusted in comparison to all the others. And that's where the thing kind of falls in his face. Where all these other Demogorgon, all this other stuff that the Vecna, all that stuff is all the kids. And she came up later. There's Johnny come lately, and then she's explaining some of this stuff. She's looking at Mike and figuring out what's going on with Mike. So this is where it kind of goes left for me. But otherwise, I just wanted to get that out. And if you're doing such strong writing, and at the same time, the other characters don't kind of write themselves. So they kind of move forward without tons of dialogue. They can just move. And then when you get to, Rockin' Robin, her kind of thing stops and she kind of fills up. But the key scenes that work with her are the earlier scenes with her and Will, where she's bumping into him. They're creating chemistry where we don't see it. We kind of lost the chemistry with her and Steve, and obviously Dustin, because she doesn't understand why he's hanging out with little kids from the first one. And it was supposed to be just a twist to be like, okay, this is gonna be Steve's new girlfriend. Oh, it's not. She's she's not into guys. But that's fine. It was a good twist. It was a surprise because we could see where it was supposed to go, and it didn't go that way. But now we got this character that's kind of latched on the series, and they're kind of writing to it too far. So I would just say the hard part is remembering who your lead characters are. Stick to it. Think of the Avengers Endgame. Whether I have problems with it, they got rid of all of the characters and kept the core Avengers, except for obviously which did she get dissolved? I can't remember, but a lot of the core characters going. Spider-Man was getting out of there, so they were able to go back to having Cap and Iron Man and all these characters have to deal with each other with a few new characters. The core is Iron Man, Cap, and Thor. Those guys don't get wiped away, and we get to see them deal with this thing and slowly bring back at the end all the other characters. So remember what your core is. It actually is already done. So when you look at this trailer, it's just a couple of shots of Rockin' Robin, right? So I'm now gonna go to, let's stop this, and then I'm gonna get out of here. Where is my other one? I should have all this ready, but when you see the edited version, the edited version is gonna be way better than this one, right? So we'll go to this trailer, and then we're gonna get out of here. But thank you guys. Let's see. All right, we're going here. Let's watch this new trailer for part 2.
This isn't like one of your campaigns. You don't get to write the ending. Not this time.
Ooh, and they're holding the finale on New Year's Eve. Hey, no, I don't have a problem with the Netflix milking style because I watched Lucifer the same way. They brought back Lucifer, and when they ended it, they gave it the split season. But as you look at this trailer, right, we see all of our leads, right? All the guys from the original story, right? Except for Max, right? She was a key part. She was in season 2. And as we go through this, it is all the main characters, except for Joyce, right? So this is the thing. They're not selling us on Rock and Robin here. They're not selling us on the guy who delivers supplies, all that stuff. They're selling us on the key things. And if we have to get all the exposition from Rock and Robin, I'm gonna go crazy. I'm literally gonna go crazy and keep them. If she's kind of like a fun free spirit, keep that energy to this next part of the series. But it's already done. So this is there's nothing I can say. I can just hope that they kind of did it. But they're not gonna listen to me. It's too late. Too late. I complained about Rock and Robin too late. So I thank you guys. Let's see if anyone wrote in. Let's stop this. Let's go back to YouTube. See what's happening here. There's nobody here. As per usual. Anyone watching? Nope. But hey, I'm here. Spinner Rack